Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another installment in the Copper and Wood Chip Mountain Railroad. If you're watching last week or the last episode, you will have seen me get all the dirt work done. This week it's another kind of dirt work, graduating to little stones, also known as ballasting the track. Now, a lot of modelers seem to want to get their track ballasted a lot earlier in the process. If you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you will know that I feel it needs to be left until the scenery is pretty much complete. But on this project, the scenery is already about as done as I am contracted to do it. So anyway, without further ado, let's just head out to the workshop and ballast that track. I've decided to start by ballasting the standard gauge. The ballast that I'm using here is Arizona Rock and Minerals Black Cinder Ballast number 1033 with a small amount of Red Cinder 1013 mixed into it. Here is the sample that the client sent me, and here is the result of mixing those two ballasts, and I think it's just about identical. I think 2 bags of the black ballast is going to be enough. I bought 3 just in case, but at the moment I've only mixed up 2. There's no point in mixing the last one unless I need it. Well, as it has been many years since I ballasted track in O scale, I wanted to start with this small isolated section at the end as a test, just to make sure that I wasn't forgetting anything that I had to do differently from the smaller scales. I did find that I needed to make a larger spreading tool. Normally I use a 1-inch chip brush with the bristles cut off short, but obviously for O scale that wasn't big enough. I needed a 2-inch version. Once the ballast shoulder has been shaped properly, the next step is to spray it with isopropyl alcohol, making sure to completely saturate the area, and then drizzle on the scenic cement, putting on rather more than you think you need, just to make sure there's plenty to go through. I am now going to continue with the rest of the standard gauge track. When it comes to the switch points, the trick here is to put a little bit of oil on the throw bar, just so that the ballast won't stick to it. Well, that is the whole of the standard gauge ballasted. I used pretty much everything that I mixed. I've got about 2 spoonfuls left over, which is probably enough to touch up the benchwork joint right here after assembly. It's not going to be enough for filling in along the edge of the platform, but that can't be done until the client has detailed it, so I will leave that for him, and he has plenty more ballast to mix. I'm going to go in now, take a bit of a break, have some lunch, and then I will come back out and start on the narrow gauge this afternoon. For the narrow gauge, I started ballasting at this grade crossing, and I'm going to work my way around the railroad. That is 1 bag of ballast used already. They're only 12-ounce bags. Didn't get very far at all. I've got 6 bags left, so it's nowhere near enough. So I just went inside and I have ordered some more. I've ordered another 8 pounds, which I think should be plenty. Hopefully that will be here early next week. So let me just turn the camera off and continue work. When ballasting turnouts, it's best to start from the middle and work your way outwards. I started these 2 by dumping some ballast between the rails, everywhere within a few inches of the frog, and I've spread it out. And I've also used a putty knife, or the corner of a putty knife, to clean out the flangeways and make sure there's nothing stopping the point blades from moving. These can move across all the way. There's no ballast in the way. I'm now going to finish the shoulders on these 2 turnouts and fill in those couple of inches in the middle, and then work my way back out to the plain track that I've already done at both ends. The reason I say it's a lot easier to start with the turnout and work outwards is that it's easy to get rid of excess ballast on plain track, but a lot more difficult in the turnout area. It's a lot easier to add more than it is to take it away. I just thought I'd throw that out there. That is 3 bags of ballast finished. I've got most of the way through the town of Laconia, and the sawmill spur done. Still got the mine spur and the rest of Laconia. I think I'm going to do 1 more bag of ballast, get Laconia finished, and then I will come back and glue everything. And that's probably about as much as I'm going to want to do today anyway. Well, that is as far as I'm going to go today. I have got through the town of Laconia. I've got the mine spur ballasted. I did open bag number 5 because bag number 4 ran out halfway through this turnout. And that seemed like a silly place to stop. So I opened bag 5 and I got through the turnout. I am now going to glue all that down, and then I think I will probably call it a day. Well, that is everything that I've done, already glued down. Actually, it's still early in the day, but I don't feel like continuing. I don't have much IPA left either, so I'm going to have to buy some more over the weekend. I'm going to go in now, get on with some inside work. I've got 3 layout designs to work on and a batch of turnouts to finish. So I will see you again tomorrow. Well, it is now Saturday afternoon. My ballast arrived this morning. It was supposed to be here on Thursday, but it didn't get here till about 10:30 Saturday morning. I've been jumping around with the ballast a bit. You may note that I've done all the turnouts over this side, but nothing else. The reason for that is that I had a bit of a problem with the first lot of ballasting I did over here in the town of Laconia. I had to replace several of the switch machines over here. The problem is something I've not experienced before, but with the design of these switch machines, there is an engineered or 3D printed set of parts that are fairly close fitting, and the glue had managed to work its way down in between them, gluing the switch machine solid. I experimented on this little area over here, and also the drop flap. I did that earlier in the week. You can see that I've stuffed a piece of paper towel in the hole so that any glue that runs down has something to get absorbed by. And also I've been coming out and throwing the turnouts every hour or so for a whole day after gluing the ballast on. That is why I wanted to make sure I got all the turnouts done this morning. That way I can keep coming out here all afternoon and evening and throw the turnouts so they don't get stuck. I had no trouble at all on the second ballasting session, so obviously my precautions worked. So I'm just continuing to do that now. Anyway, I've had lunch. I'm going to fill in all the bits of plain track. I have about a 2-foot piece around here in front of the staging yard. The rest of the staging yard won't be ballasted though. I have the 3 tracks through the main station area, 2 spurs leading to the engine house, 2 more bits of track over there, spur in front of the materials, and about 4 feet of main line between the 2 towns. I should be able to get all that done this afternoon, and I will, as I said earlier, stop periodically and throw all the turnouts just to make sure I'm not gluing them solid. Well, I have now finished all the ballasting except for touching up the benchwork joints, which I will do after I have reassembled the railroad in the client's room. All the way around the end to this turnout, which is where I ended up with the first session a few days ago. I'm just going to throw all those turnouts one more time before going inside and getting on with something else. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have to keep coming out about every hour for the rest of the day and throwing the turnouts again. Well, as I mentioned earlier,
I came out for the rest of the day about once an hour and moved all the turnouts. It's now Monday morning and they're all working flawlessly, even with the ballast in place. I have one over here where the tie rod broke off, but that's no big deal. I will bring a soldering iron out and repair that in a couple of minutes. There are a few places where individual grains of ballast are sitting on top of the ties. Here's one. I'm not going to go around the whole railroad and get rid of every last piece. That is something the client can easily do. He's perfectly capable and he wants to do all the final detailing himself anyway. So there's no point in me spending my time and his money doing what he can easily do himself. I will eventually have to clean all the track thoroughly again so that I can give everything another test, but that will be a task for another day. I have other things to get on with today.
Well, that's all I have for this week. Hope you enjoyed the video, found it useful or interesting or both, and I hope to see you back next week. And I think there is really only a couple more episodes left in this series. The end is in sight. So I'll just leave you with that thought, and until next week, thanks for watching, and bye for now.